we are waiting for the council. Obrigado, professora. Por favor.
Mechatronics, and he does the same research as Professor Ishiguro.
Okay.
They will be partners.
I will invite you to say some words.
Yes,
in the
yes,
beginning,
please.
okay?
Yes.
Vai chamar, né?
Isso.
Mas aonde que ele vai sair?
É, aqui em cima do palco, eu imagino, você acha mais fácil aqui embaixo, né?
Tem essa
Acho que sim. Podemos? Podemos começar? Vamos começar. Vamos começar? Boa tarde a todos. Desculpa o susto. Já tinha alguém dormindo, não, né? Então vamos lá, vamos acordar, né? Depois do almoço, né? É bom dar aquele cochilo, já está na hora de acordar. Obrigado a todos por virem, né? É uma oportunidade única receber o professor Ishiguro e escutar um pouco do trabalho dele. E para abrir a sessão, eu quero convidar a nossa diretora, a professora Lied, para que então faça a recepção ao professor Ishiguro e abra a sessão. Professora, por favor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Professor Ishiguro. It's a great honor for us to welcome here at the Polytechnic School of the University of São Paulo, Professor Ishiguro. He is a well-known researcher and he is recognized as one of the best researchers in the world. He has an Android that you can see, and I'd like to ask you, Professor Ishiguro, we have a lot of work at our Dean's office. If you can help us to make one for us, it would be a great for us. Many copies. Thank you very much for coming. And I wish you a very good speech today, and I wish you a very fruitful stay in São Paulo. Thank you very much.
Obrigado, professora Lied. Em seguida, quero convidar o cônsul do Japão, cônsul Noguchi, para, então, abrir pelo lado, né, japonês a sessão, já que é uma sessão conjunta Brasil-Japão. Por favor, cônsul.
Tento falar em português. Boa tarde a todos. Eu sou Yasushi Noguchi, cônsul geral do Japão em São Paulo, e agradeço a valiosa presença de todos a essa palestra. Hoje, sinto-me intensamente satisfeito em apresentar à Universidade de São Paulo o professor de robótica Hiroshi Ishiguro. Expresso meus sinceros agradecimentos ao professor Ishiguro pela longa viagem até o Brasil e também à Escola Politécnica da Universidade de São Paulo por acolher este evento. O professor Ishiguro é mundialmente reconhecido como pesquisador na área de robótica. Nós convidamos também a Geminoid, que é o clone do professor, e nesta tarde o professor ministrará uma palestra sobre os robôs e a sociedade do futuro. O Japão é conhecido como um país desenvolvido, mas que enfrenta problemas ainda novos no mundo, e para isso tem se apoiado na potencialidade da tecnologia para a solução dessas questões. A sociedade brasileira, no futuro, também poderá se deparar com uma queda de taxa de natalidade e de envelhecimento da população. Com essa visão, gostaria que os jovens estudantes aqui presentes prestassem atenção à palestra. Espero que os estudantes que se interessarem pela palestra considerassem a possibilidade de estudar no Japão ou fazer pesquisas no laboratório do professor Ishiguro, por exemplo. Alguns meios de se estudar no Japão, entre eles o sistema de bolsas de estudo do governo japonês, o convênio entre universidades. Sugiro que pesquisassem a respeito. Desejo que esta palestra possa estimular a curiosidade de todos do mundo, todos de modo que esta seja uma oportunidade para se pensar na prosperidade da sociedade. Boa palestra a todos. Obrigado.
Bom, gente, em seguida, adivinha o que acontece? É claro, a palestra do professor Ishiguro. Como é que a gente vai organizar isso? Então, a gente vai ter a palestra e depois a gente vai ter um tempinho para perguntas e respostas no final. Então, por favor, guardem, anotem as perguntas. Infelizmente, a gente não tem um tempo infinito, né? Anotem as perguntas e a gente vai abrir para perguntas no final, ok? Bom, agora, professor Ishiguro, por favor.
Okay, hello everybody. Nice to meet you. So this is my great honor to speak, to have a talk in this, the top university in Brazil. Thank you for inviting me, right? And thank you for inviting, my copy here, right? Well, today's my title is Interactive Robots and the Fundamental Issues, right? So what, I want to explain why I have created this very human-like robot and what kind of the research issues we can study with this very human-like robots, right? So let me start with this picture. Actually, this picture is, of course, his pictures, right? But he is very convenient for us, right? Maybe for busy professors, usually I'm sending this copy, the Android, to the conference or the foreign universities, and the robot is giving lectures. My colleague is here, right? And the Professor Kohei Ogawa, usually he is bringing this robot to the conference in some other countries. And, he is, assembling the robot on the conference. And the robot is giving a talk instead of me, right? So this is very convenient, right? And, I strongly recommend the busy professors, you should make your own copy. And you can save much time. What's wrong? Sorry, just a moment. Okay. But I have some problem with this guy. So, the problem is why I'm coming here, because I have created this guy, right? So your interest is for the robot, not myself, right? So that's the problem. The question is who has the identities, right? Identity is a very important concept for the humans, okay? Always teachers ask you, you mean the students, to have their own identities. But once we create this kind of a very human-like robot, right, this robot can have my identities, right? And probably I don't have my identity because, without this robot, I cannot give a talk here. You understand, right? So, but this is a very important point of my research. So once we create a very human-like robot, we can touch to the that kind of a very, important philosophical questions. What is identities, right? So we have a more ambiguous concept about humans. What is a consciousness? What is emotions? What is a heart, the mind? So these are a kind of a meta-level concept, meta-level cognitive function of humans, right? But it is not so easy to understand this meta-level cognitive function of humans, right? And even if you study the neuroscience and cognitive science, it is not so easy, right? But once we create a very human-like robot, right, through the interaction with the robot, so we can touch to that kind of meta-level cognitive functions, okay? So at least we can have a chance to deeply consider about, right, identities, heart and mind, right? So that is, the point of my studies. Okay, so actually, we can decompose this robot into the 3 pieces, and we can ship. Well, we can carry it by airplanes. Probably he wanna say something to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm a Geminoid. I'm a copy of Professor Ishiguro. Let me briefly introduce our activities. What we are doing in Professor Ishiguro laboratory is to study about the interactive robots, including myself, and consider our future life with robots. So this is myself. I have designed for giving a lecture instead of Professor Ishiguro. Actually, I can be decomposed into 3 pieces: upper torso, lower torso, and head. Head is very fragile. Therefore, it should be carried by a backpack, and it should be carry-on baggage on the airplane. Anyway, on the conference site, our staff assemble myself, and I can give a talk like this. So let me show you the inside of this baggage. So problem is the head, how we can carry the head on the airplane. So as the first time, we are very nervous. Actually, the people working in a security gate in the airport, they know the advanced technology very well. Therefore, we didn't have any problem. So anyway, by using many kinds of robots, including myself, we are studying robotics for understanding humans. Our purpose is not just to develop a robot, but to understand the human itself. We are developing human-like robots based on knowledge in cognitive science, and we are verifying hypotheses by using the robots in cognitive science. So future robotics is not just for the engineering, but we should integrate with the cognitive science and neuroscience. So this is the future robotics. So if we study the robotics more, we strongly believe that we can develop the society supported by humanoids and androids. Robots can work for caring the elderly, providing information station in the public places, and robot can sell something on the department stores, and robot can be teachers. We believe this is our futures and my future. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, of course, this is not the end of my talk, right? I will continue my talk. Okay. Anyway, once we have this kind of a human-like robot, probably we can develop the robot society, near futures. So, what kind of a robot society do we want to develop, especially in Japan? And in Japan, our population is going down to the half of the current populations, right? So we need help by robots more and more, right? So we want to keep the quality of life. However, we don't have enough number of people. So probably, this country, you have different situations. But, I think maybe 20, 30, after, 50 years, right, you may have similar situations, okay? So, what we want to create is this kind of human-robot symbiotic societies, right? And as you can see here, right? So the robots are helping the humans. But important point is this robot. Look at this robot, right? And this robot has eyes and some kind of a face, right? And the robot can have some, the gestures, right? So human-like form is very important. So the reason, well, anyway, in order to realize that robot society, I have started my robot project in 2000, and I have created these robots so far, right? So we are studying already 18 years. That is from a very simple mechanical-looking robots and some sort of cute robots like this, okay? And then very human-like robots. So the question is why do we need human-like robots and humanoid robots, right? The answer is very simple, and the answer is a human has a brain that recognizes humans. Right? Our brain has many functions to recognize human voice, human face, human gestures. That is an innate, natural, the human brain functions. So therefore, the ideal interface for human is a humans. Okay? This is the best interface for us, right? Of course, this is a very expensive robot. We cannot, easily, use this kind of state-of-art technologies, but right. So we can use the essence of a human likeness, okay? And therefore the interactive robot should be at least partially human-like. And on the other hand, the very human-like robots, Android robots, are necessary for understanding humans, right? If we want to have a much better the interface for the humans, right? We need to deeply study about humans. Then we can, improve the robot technologies more. So that is what I'm doing. So robot and science. As I said, once we created this very human-like robot, once we use this very human-like robots, so we can deeply study about the human itself, right? So our approach is called constructive science with intelligent system. If I simply say that this is a constructive approach. So past brain studies have found that human intelligence comprises elements of memory, computation, inference, learning, etc. The challenge is to identify how these elements can be put together for realizing a human intelligence. So that is a challenge in future robotics. So the constructive approach will reconstruct the robots and androids to model the humans and use such robots and androids to study the human macro-level functions. So this is our approach. If I simply said, we develop a human-like robots based on the knowledge in science, and then we understand humans by using robots, right? So that is this is our basic approach, and so far in robotics especially, we have focused on the mechatronics and manipulators, sensors, and image understanding and voice recognitions, right? But after this, we want to focus on more about the meta level, the cognitive functions, like intelligence, embodiment, and the multimodal integrations, and the intention, desires, and consciousness. And the social relationships. I think consciousness is going to be one of the very important issues for the next decade. So we don't know what consciousness is, but after this, I think many researchers from cognitive science and neuroscience and robotics, everybody is going to think about the consciousness. Right? So, and this is our roadmap for the robot development. Now we are focusing on the robot which has a single human-like functions like language teacher robots and order-taking robots at restaurants. And then, our final goal is to develop the companion robot which has multiple human-like functions. Okay? So now we are improving robots and more. And on the other hand, this is the examples. So these this is a language teacher robot, and this is a conversation robot for elderlies, and I'm going to explain the details and about this, the state of art androids. Okay. So, this is the goal of science, and this is, the milestones for the robot development: intelligence, embodiment, multimodal integrations. These are fundamentals, right? And once we implement intention desire to the robot will be a more human-like, I believe, right? And then, we're going to study about the consciousness and the social relationships, right? So, in the intention desire, I think this is very, very important for the next generation robots, right? And if a robot has intention desires, so a robot can read our intention desires, right? Then, robot can provide more human-friendly services to us, right? Robot, now, robot is just machines to follow the human orders, right? But the robot need to guess the human's intention desires. What's wrong with this? Okay. I think this is the problem of projectors. Okay, and then the final goal is to develop the companion robots. But here we have another goal, that is the total Turing test. You guys, the Turing test, proposed by Alan Turing. Turing test compares the human and computers. But our goal is a total Turing test. So this total Turing test is scientific and engineering goals, and it compares it is to compare between robots manipulated by human operators and the autonomous robots controlled by developed technologies. So if we can replace the human operators with the computers, I think so that means a robot that could pass the total Turing test. So one of the important challenges in intelligent robotics is to pass the total Turing test, and it evaluates the total human likeness through all modalities, and it evaluates the social acceptance as a member of our societies. That is, our goal. Okay. So anyway, so important things is, robotics is not just for the engineering, right? So if we want to develop much better robot, we need to deeply study about humans. Okay, then we can have a much better hypothesis about the human likeness, right? And then we can improve the robots more. So both the engineering and science are tightly coupled, right? So this is, the nature of a science. Always, basically we cannot divide science and engineering, right? So, about the interactions in robotics. So, this robotics is called interactions. So that is different from the traditional robotics. In robotics, we have two major the research areas, the topics. That is the manipulation and the navigations. Manipulation is is to develop the industrial robots, and the navigation is to develop the autonomous driving systems, right? These are very popular right now. But after this, I think, the interaction is going to be more popular. And Japanese government expect that market of interactive robot or service robots that works in a daily life will be bigger than manipulators, and it will reach the $50 billion in 2035. So this is our expectations, okay? Right? And in Japan, we have a very active studies on the manipulation and the navigations, but the fundamental studies are almost over, right? We need to focus on the next robotics, okay? If you go to the robot conference, I believe, maybe 10 to 20% they are papers, conference papers for the interactive robots, right? So the next, move on to the next. Next is the Android and the personal robot. Actually, I think we're going to have many kind of robots. we don't have just single robots in the futures, but we're going to accept, we're going to use the many kind of robots from this very human-like robot to this very simplified, personal robot, right? And the Android can be a test bed for understanding humans, but of course, at the same time, we can develop the practical applications. But that, I guess, it is, it is for the limited distribution and purpose, right? And once we understand humans, so we can understand the essence of a human-robot interactions, then we can develop the more practical robots. So that is a personal robots. Okay, so I have a venture companies. My venture company is developing these practical robots based on my knowledge. Okay, and selling these robots in the real market. Okay, let me start with the personal robots, application of personal robots. So, this is a kind of a promotion videos, but as you know, we have this technology already. The Amazon Echoes and the Google Home, so we have a pretty stable voice recognition functions. Therefore, if we want, we can develop this kind of applications with, this robot. Right? And one of the important applications is English teachers for Japanese students. So Japanese students are very shy and they hesitate to speak with teachers, but they don't hesitate to speak with these small cute robots. Right? I think there are many Japanese here, right? So if you got some troubles to learn the foreign language, I strongly recommend you use this robot.
I'm hungry.
And this is another practical applications. There is companies, big company, restaurant chain companies in Japan. They are seriously thinking to use our robots, and they are running the very practical field test. The robots helping the customers to decide the orders. Right? And their families, young children, they are very happy with this robot. Right? And I think company can sell more the foods by using this interactive robots. Right? So very near features, I think. You're gonna see the many robots in the Japanese restaurants. Okay. So we can consider the many applications, right? And the another applications, important application is probably the tour guide. The information providers in our hotel and stations. So near futures, maybe within 3 years, we're going to have Tokyo Olympics games, right? Tokyo Olympic games, we need to accept more the foreigners. But so Japanese are not so good for speaking in European languages. But robot, right? These guys can easily speak in multiple languages, right? So anyway, let me show you the very simple demonstration of this small guide, small robot.
Hola, ¿sabes? El lindo Japón. Vamos a ser amigos. Vamos a ser amigos. Viva Brasil, viva Japón.
So actually, we are using this robot for the many purposes, and still we are waiting for the chance to deliver this robot for everybody. But I think that kind of things happen soon. I hope, right? As we have this smartphone spread out in the world very quickly, And I guess the same things happened with this interactive small robot. Okay, of course, on the other hand, that we can consider the application of this very human-like robot. What is that? Actually, Androids, they can extend human presence. So my case is, I'm using my Android for giving a lecture in foreign countries. And this guy is a very famous rakugo player. Rakugo is a comic storytelling, and he passed away just a couple of years ago. But now, we don't need to worry about it. We have an Android. He's an Android, right? While we can enjoy his professional play, he's a national treasure. He's the second national treasure as a rakugo player. Beicho Katsura. His name is Beicho Katsura. Right? But the funny thing is probably the Android is better than the original persons. Okay? Because the young people, right, they enjoyed his professional play. Right? Usually, young people, they are not interested in rakugo, the traditional comic storytelling. But if a robot, they play the comic storytelling, young people, they want, they are quite interested in that. Right? So, and Soseki Natsume, and he is also the very famous the person in Japan. Right? Everybody knows. Right? And everybody, they study his literatures in elementary school and junior high and high schools. Everybody knows, but he passed away 100 years ago. Right now, we have a project to reconstruct the presence. I mean, we are making his Android, and Android is teaching the class, the elementary school. This is not interactive. Android is reading his literatures, but the young children, the elementary school, the students, they are very serious to listen his reading, right? So I think the Android can give a good influence to the students. Okay, anyway, so we can extend the presence, right? So we can extend the presence and reconstruct the human presence who has passed away many years ago, right? So this is the possibility of the Android. Then, at the same time, again, we can touch to the very important philosophical questions about humans. What is presence? What is human? Okay? So actually, the people can accept these robots, Android, as, well, in this case, as myself, as the famous comic storytellers, as the famous literary figures, right? So again, we have a chance deeply to consider about the human presence. But these robots, these androids are not the autonomous in some sense, right? We are just, in this case, he's just, the repeating the recorded voice, right? And the same things happen for these guys. But this is not our goal, of course. So as I said, that we need to develop the technologies to pass the total Turing test. But this is the final goal, right? So what we are doing is, we are trying to replace the human operators with the computers. And originally, this one was a teleoperated Android, okay? I have developed this robot as a teleoperated Android, and I was sending this robot to the foreign countries. And, I was accessing through the internet, right? And so the goal is to replace this is the example, right? So, but, the good things of this Android is maybe, this Android is maybe better than me in some sense. My presence is too strong for the Japanese students. They are very shy, right? They never ask the questions in my lectures. But if I use the Android for my the lectures, right? Many students they are giving the questions to the Android. Right? So anyway, okay. So what we have to do is we need to replace the human operator with the computers. So maybe two approaches we can consider. One is the big data approaches. Okay, this is a collection of simple conversational patterns through the internet for the unlimited topics. It's a chatbot. So you guys, you know the chatbot, right? So the chatbot approach, and another approach is a story-based approach. That is well, the computer, we need to prepare the stories represented in graphical models. So we can, they handle the complicated conversations. We can realize the complex conversations, but it is for the limited topics. Okay. So we are working with NTTs. NTTs, it's the biggest telecom company in Japan. They have pretty good technologies for the micro-arrays, the voice recognitions, and the chatbot, right? We are integrating their technologies with our Android.
What is your name?
So this is
Well, I'm Hiroshi
demonstration.
Ishiguro.
Where are you from?
This is a combination of a
I'm from
chatbot
Osaka,
and this Android.
Japan.
Okay? So chatbot
What is
is
your
a
job?
little bit boring, right? So if we use a chatbot on
Well,
smartphones,
I'm a
but if
researcher
we
in the
integrate
field
with a
of
very
robots
human-like
and
robots,
artificial
okay,
intelligence.
so we can enjoy the conversation with the robots.
What is your favorite?
But unfortunately, chatbot
I see.
Chatbot
Fish.
never recognize the
Do you
concept.
like
It's a
sushi?
very simple pattern of question and answers.
Did
right?
you know
But
that
still, we can enjoy
centuries
if we
ago,
get drunk.
sushi
Right?
was
So
considered a delicacy
we
in
can enjoy
Japan
this
and was
conversation.
only eaten on special occasions?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, and then we have improved the chatbot system, and then and we have realized more interactive the systems.
Do you want to have a discussion on which is the better Japanese meal, sushi versus ramen?
Yes.
Let's start discussion. Sushi is chosen over ramen.
But when going on a date, it is
Actually, we
better
have
to order
prepared
sushi than
perfect
ramen.
database about the sushi versus
Sushi offers
ramen.
more chances to talk.
Does sushi offer more chances
So
to
robots
talk?
can discuss sushi versus ramen is
Sushi
maybe the
comes
1
out
hour.
dish by dish, so
Because they
there
have
is
a
time in
perfect
between
knowledge.
dishes.
And based on
You
that
can talk
knowledge,
when you
the
aren't
robot can
eating.
understand humans' questions.
I think sushi is healthy.
And they can
Unhealthy
just keep
ramen
talking.
can lead
right?
to health risks.
Well, I see.
What's more, sushi chefs have more expertise.
But sushi versus ramen is a little bit,
Are you ready?
Okay,
Yes.
simple.
let's move on to next topic. We're going to look at the difference between humans and robots.
Human difference
What
between
do
human
you
and
think
robots.
the
This is a more
difference
difficult
between
topic.
humans and robots is?
Again, we have,
difference.
they prepare the
Yes,
perfect
Android
database, and
you.
these guys
What
are,
do you
they just
think
keep
is
talking about
different?
it, right?
Well,
So, but basically, the
I
robot
think their hearts and appearances.
doesn't understand the deep meaning of the questions, right? But if we limited the topics, so we can develop the discussion system, right? So, and we studied the chatbot systems, right? Then now we are developing the discussion systems. After this, we move on to the story-based approach. Okay, let me show you the example. So far, we just focus on the behavior networks, utterance networks, right? So we have carefully designed, right, and just designed the behavior and utterance, okay? But what we want to do is, we want to implement intention desires, right? So in order to control the flow of behaviors, I think, usually we use the intentions, and the intention is controlled by desires, right? So as I said in the beginning of this talk, so this is a very important challenge, right? So if we want to have a more human-friendly robot need to understand human intention desires. But without own intention desires, robot cannot understand humans' intention desires. So this is the system that we are developing right now. This is a so complicated systems, okay? This is the another pictures about the systems, right? But anyway, so we are combining the sensor systems and some composers, so interaction composers. That is the editors of network behavior networks. And the interaction composer looks like this. Okay, so by using these editors, we can design that complicated behavior of the robots. And this is the example. So this is desire and intentions, right? So the Android system is controlling, updating the satisfactions of desires and intentions, and choosing the best behaviors. Right? So in this case, the Android has a very simple desires. Android wanna talk with somebody, and Android wanted to be well recognized. Just two desires. But still, I think this is the conversation is very human right. Okay, and this is a Japanese conversation. And probably you don't understand in Japanese, but this is also the very funny conversation. Right. So, anyway, so this is a synthesized voice. Okay, this is a synthesized voice. It is not human voice. Right? We are using the top state-of-art technologies for the voice synthesizations. And of course, she's Android. I think she's the most. And we are using this is a real-time voice recognition. Okay. The Google is, they're using the servers. The Google is using the servers after the internet, but this is onboard processing. Therefore, the Android can quickly answer to that question. Okay. Let me show you the
Let's
English
learn a
version.
little about each other. To start off, where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
Wow, Canada's quite far away. It's pretty cold there, eh? I'm from Japan, much like many other advanced androids and robots. There are so many great applications for these robots. Whether it's helping the elderly, guiding tourists, or even for entertainment, it's all very exciting. Oh, sorry about that. I got a little carried away. So, Nick, what do you do for a living?
I'm a student.
Oh, you're a student? You know, robots could be quite helpful for students. We have the advantage of the perfect and vast memory of a computer, while also having the ability to be interactive and responsive like a human teacher. So, Nick, would you like having a robot like me as a teacher?
No, I don't think so. I'd probably rather just have a normal teacher.
Excuse me? I've already explained why I would be better than a human teacher or self-learning. Are you sure you wouldn't want me as a teacher?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Are you serious? I wonder if everyone from Canada is so narrow-minded about robots. I'm done talking to you. Please don't come speak with me again.
So anyway, so what if we implement the intention desire to the robot and Android, the Android robot can be more really emotional, right? And then we can guess the emotional states and the intention desires, right? So okay, so I have just introduced our robots and androids, right? But what we are doing in my laboratory is to deeply study about the some important things about human-robot interactions, right? So our goal, our role is not just develop the human-like robot, but deeply study about the key factors for human-robot interactions. Okay? So let me talk about a couple of fundamental issues of conversational robots. Okay, so maybe I want to pick up two things, two topics. One is the feeling of presence, the other is the conversations. And the Professor Ogawa is in the studying about the feeling of presence. He is coming here. Okay, and Professor Yoshikawa, he's another associate professor in my laboratory. He's mainly studying about the conversations. So the question is, what is the feeling of presence? What is the presence of humans? Okay, and then what is the conversations? Okay, how we can deeply understand these things. So that is what I want to explain after this. Feeling of presence is called the sonzaikan in Japanese. But this is something. Sonzaikan is something more than the feeling of presence. Okay. But I don't have a time to precisely explain the difference. But here in this university, there's so many Japanese teachers you have, right? So you can ask the real meaning of a sonzaikan to the Japanese teachers, right? So, well, as I said, I have developed this android as a teleoperated android, and then, when I have developed this teleoperated android, the question was, how do we recognize the robots and androids? Right now, you are facing to this android. So how do you recognize this robot? Okay, so that is the recognition based on the observations. You carefully observe this robot. Right, and checking if it is same as me. I mean, appearance and the movement and the voice. Right. So you are checking each modalities. Right. So that is the recognition based on the observation. Okay. If one of the modality is not human-like, if a movement is very jerky like this, right? So you feel a strong uncanniness. That is uncanny bodies. It's a very famous phenomenon. Right? We need to carefully avoid the uncanny bodies. Right? But the problem was this android was not good for everybody. Actually, young children, they are afraid to talk with the adult male, the android. Okay, right? So, as a roboticist, my goal is to develop the ideal robots that can be accepted by everybody, right? So then I got these ideas, right? I replaced the appearance of this robot with this very simplified neutral appearance as a humans. So neutral appearance means, we cannot tell the age and genders, right? Okay, so this idea works very well, right? So actually, the appearance is neutral, but the voice is human-like. In this case, the observers, we use the imagination, okay, in the interactions. So let me give you the example. So she's dementia, kind of a dementia. She never talked to the human, right? She never talked to this kind of android, right? But she could talk with this robot. This robot is called a telenoid. Right? And she could enjoy the conversation very much. Okay. What's happened here? She could use the imagination. Okay. So, to think about the telephone call from an unknown person, okay, always you have a positive imagination about the speakers. I mean, right? So if we got the telephone call from the unknown persons, always you think you are giving the telephone call from a beautiful or smart woman and man, right? So that is our brain functions. If we have missing information, always we use a positive imagination. The same things happened here. So by replacing this appearance with a quite neutral appearance, that we could encourage, we could activate users' imaginations. So this is the recognition based on the imaginations. Okay, and excuse me, something happened. So no exceptions, right? Everybody could use their own imagination for the interactions, and we have tested many countries. Okay, so this is from Denmark. So no difference. Everybody can accept this, terrenoid, and young children, elders, everybody, right? So that means that we could replace this complicated android with this simplified robot. It's called a terrenoid. Right? Still, the people could feel the feeling of a presence. Okay. Then the question is, what is the minimal media to transfer the human presence to represent the human presence? What is the minimal conditions? Okay. So we could replace this one to this, the simplified robot. But this is not minimal. Right? Minimal is this. Okay. So this is not a robot anymore. It's huggable pillows. But we are using this huggable pillow with a smartphone. This is enough to transmit human presence. So these guys are talking by smartphones, right? But totally different from the normal telephone calls. They are feeling, they could have a strong feeling to hug each other, right? They could feel the other person's presence in their in their arms, right? So this is a very strong effect. So we have tested two conditions: normal phone call and a phone call with hugbeats. So that huggable pillow called hugbeats. We have tested the blood and salivas, and we have tested the cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Actually, we could significantly reduce the level of cortisol with hugbeats in the blood and saliva. This is a very strong effect. So that means that people could relax by feeling the other person's presence. Okay. So my answers. What is the minimal condition to represent the human presence? That is the two modalities. So hugbeats case is the voice and the tactile sensations. Two modalities enough, right? If we represent the human likeness with the two modalities, so we can feel the strong human-like presence there, right? So we can apply these ideas in many products. Actually, we are doing that, right? Based on these studies, we are developing the many kind of the products which can have human-like presence. So, and of course, we can choose the other modalities like appearance and tactile sensation, snare and tactile sensation, and voice and snare. So suppose we have a speaker here, right? And if we use the and some woman speaking, right? If we put the perfumes, usually that woman is using, then we can suddenly feel the very strong presence, feeling of a presence there. Right? So anyway, the answer is the two modalities. Okay. One more example. This is from the first grade class in elementary school. Right? In a kindergarten, teachers and the parents treat the children very carefully. But elementary school, the children need to work with many other students. Therefore, they are a little bit nervous. They are missing the teacher's presence, parents' presence. In the front of the teachers, these guys are carefully listening to their teachers, but these guys are not. Right? Idea is to deliver the hugbeat to everybody and transmit the teacher's voice through the hugbeats. Then we can have this kind of scene, right? Right? Everybody can feel the teacher's presence, right? And then they can concentrate on the teacher's voice. So this idea works very, very well, right? Okay. So next, okay, move on to the next topic. Next, the fundamental issues, the conversations. Okay. Let me start with this video.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
We are robots called Commune. What's your name?
I'm Yumi.
I see. Let's get started. Is this the first time you're talking with a robot?
Yes, this is my first time.
Really? Are you nervous talking to a robot?
Not Lily.
We love to talk. It's so much fun to talk. Hey, what's your favorite food?
So anyway, how do you think? How do you think this conversation? So do you believe, the robots are recognizing the human's voice? You believe so that, right? But actually, robots don't recognize human voice at all. So this is the conversation without the voice recognition, right? So if we have a single robot need to recognize human's voice. But if we have two robots, they don't need to recognize human's voice. You understand these ideas, right? So this guy, so conversation is not to recognize the voice. Conversation is to share the stories. So this robot, they ask a question to this robot, what is your favorite food? And then, this guy said, and I like ramen or something, right? And then robot asks the same question to the humans, okay? And the human answer to that question, I like, a sushi or something, right? Then, this guy said, I see, right? So this is a pattern to ignore the human's utterance, right? The important thing is the conversation is to share the stories. If we have two robots, right? The question and answer, that is a story. Now we have a story here, right? Therefore, and the robot does not need to understand human utterance, right? So robot, they can use a simple conversation patterns for involving the humans into that conversation. Okay, so we can consider the very clear rules to ignore the human's utterance with two robots. Okay, we have submitted a patent on this. Okay, and the problem of interactive robots, one of the problems is unstable voice recognition. Okay, so we cannot have a perfect voice recognition even if we use a Google Home and Amazon Echoes. They are not perfect, right? So if we have some distance, right, recognition rate is going down. Okay, so but if we use two robots, okay. If a robot couldn't understand human's voice, the robot can talk each other, and the robot can ignore human's voice, right? And then, when the robot could understand human's utterance, the robot can talk with humans. Okay, so two robots is a key, right? So anyway, what is conversations? Robots do not need to recognize a voice, right? The more important thing is to share the story. Okay, one more example. So again, this is the Android who was selling the clothes in a department store. So this system is developed by Professor Ogawa here. And in this, in the department store is so noisy that we cannot use a voice recognition. Okay, therefore, here we are using the touch panels. Okay, the visitors, the customers, are choosing the options. Okay, and then, once he chooses the options, the computers read the options. Okay, then Android answers to that questions. The system looks like this. Okay, the visitor choose the options, and the computers read the options. Okay, and the Android answer to this, the voice. So this is enough for having the conversation, very realistic conversation with a robot, right? Okay, this idea works very well. And as a result, this Android could sell a lot of clothes. Okay, so there are another reasons why this Android could sell a lot of clothes. So in a department store, especially for the men, we hesitate to talk to the human shopkeepers. Once we, if we talk to the human shopkeepers, so that means that we have an intention to buy something. Therefore, we don't like to talk with the human shopkeepers. But if a shopkeeper is Android, we never hesitate to talk with the shopkeepers, right? right? And then once we talk to the Android will say many positive things. You look so smart, and this clothes is perfectly matching you. If a human shopkeeper, say the positive things too much, we're going to have a doubt, right? So we never trust the human shopkeepers, but we trust the robots. So how about the vending machine, the ticketing machines, right? You just trust the machines, okay? Same thing happens here, right? So we never, they check the changes given by, vending machine and ticketing machines, but we always carefully check the changes given by a human shopkeeper, right? So machine is better, right? So actually, that she could sell a lot of clothes. She was much better than the human shopkeepers in the department stores. We have tested. We did 2 weeks the field test, and we have compared total sales. She was much better than the human. So I think in near future we can replace the shopkeepers with the robots and Android. So anyway, what I want to say here is, what is conversation? So robots do not need to recognize the voice, and the people do not need to pronounce. Important thing is to make the decisions by choosing options, right? So that is, the key things about the conversation, right? So, and especially for the researchers, engineers, in order to have a conversational the systems, so we believe we need to develop the voice recognition system first, right? And then, we need to develop some the story controller or something, right? But the most important thing is, is to make the decisions, right? If we make the decisions by choosing options, then we can feel we can have a conversation. Okay, let me show you one more example. So we are using this system. Again, this system is developed by Professor Ogawa, and we are using this system for the human conversations. These guys are just choosing options, right? Still, they could enjoy the conversation very much.
I just don't like your face.
Why do you say such cruel things?
I've always thought so for a long time.
I think you are also ugly.
How can you say such a thing to a woman?
I am thinking seriously.
You are horrid. Shut up.
I won't shut up. I am enjoying talking with you.
You are really bugging me.
And yet, your face is really funny.
Your face is laughable.
Exchanging compliments with each other is fun, isn't it?
Don't let yourself get carried away.
What's wrong with you?
Can't you tell without asking me?
Did I do something?
Figure it out yourself.
Sorry, I really don't know.
It is inappropriate to speak in a woman's face.
I am very sorry.
I can't forgive you.
I am really very sorry.
Do you like my face?
You are the most beautiful female in the world.
I forgive you.
So, do you understand what's happened here? The computer controlling the stories perfectly, right? In the beginning, they fight each other, but finally, they're gonna be good friends, right? right? They're just choosing options, but actually computer controlling the all options and guiding the these people for having the some sort of a romantic finals, right? In the beginnings, they fight, but so that kind of the emotional change is very important for having the good relationships. So we have applied these ideas. We tested with 400 people in an event, right? And the success rate, success means if they could have good relationships with each other, so that means success. Okay, so success rate was 80%, right? It was the very powerful tools for connecting the people, right? So we basically studying about the human-like robots. Right, but this guy teaches us the many important things. What is the feeling of a presence? What is the conversations? Okay, we can deeply study about that kind of a meta level, the cognitive functions. Okay, then we can develop the systems that can bridge peoples. Right, so this is what we are doing. Right, we are not just a creator of a very human-like robot, but our purpose is deeply understand human natures by using this robot. But of course, based on these ideas, we want to create the robot society in the near futures, right? So I hope, if you are interested in this kind of activities, then please consider to come to my universities, and I hope to exchange the students, this university and my universities, right? Sorry that. Okay, so it's easy to find my contact. So you can search my email address on the web, right? My name is Ishiguro, and the robots and Android. You can easily find my address, right? So if you are interested in this kind of works, please give me information, and then I hope to exchange the technologies and the students between your university and my universities. Okay. Thank you very much. Just a moment. I think he wanna say something. One more. Give us a voice for him. Okay. Something wrong. He's stopping completely. He's not working. Sorry. He's stopping. Well, after the questions, he's not working now. I think we need to reboot the computer or something wrong. 全く動いてない。So, well, he's going to reboot the computers. Anyway, so I want to accept your questions. Probably he's really sleepy, sorry. So, yes.
We'll now start our session, questions and answers. And since I'm in the control of the microphone, I will do the questions. And my question is, since you are transferring, kind of transferring,
sorry, thank you.
When you transfer your identity, you are signed up, will live forever.
Live forever with this one?
Yeah.
In the socially, yeah, socially, yes. Socially, yes. Socially, yes, right? And they can live in the society forever, right? So, but, they are not real human, right? So we have two aspects, a kind of a personal aspect and social aspect. In the social aspect, I think, the Android gives us a kind of, unlimited right for us. He just wakes up. Of course, they are, let me see, if the child is very young, sometimes, I guess they are confusing which is which, right? Maybe 2 years and 3 years, I'm not sure, they can distinguish which is which, right? But of course, after that, they can quickly, there are some peaks of the aging uncanny valley. 4 years old is quite sensitive to accept about this kind of robots. So they quickly judge which is which. I mean, if this is robot or not, right? 4 years old and 3 years old, 4 years old, they are very, very sensitive. Before that, they probably, the young infant and the babies, they cannot distinguish which is which. What is the point of your question?
My point is that it's possible to have human that are real as humans, or at the end of the day, they might have some actions that are not human and they might be.
I think it depends on the persons, right? Someone likes to have interaction with this kind of robots, right? And the many young children, they love to interact with, the cute robots, right? So important thing is to provide the huge options, okay? And that depends on the person, right?
Okay, we have another question. Another question over there.
Professor, how do you see the intersection between
I can hear.
Sorry. Anyways, how do you see the interaction between virtual reality and robotics? Because most of your work is regardless of mechanicals and mechatronics. How do you see the intersection for this more widely spread around HMPs?
I see. If we have a perfect hologram, I think we can replace this kind of robot with perfect holograms. But the current virtual reality is not ideal, right? It gets tired easily. We cannot use so long, right? Maybe our limitation is maybe 20 minutes or something, right? It is not real 3D. It's a 2.5D. 2.5D is not so good for our brains. So that is the reason why we cannot play the virtual reality game so long, right? And probably this is better, right? But if we have the good hologram technologies, if we don't touch to this robot, right, so we can replace the robot with a hologram. But as I said, if we want to touch the robot, hologram is not enough. Okay, so that is the reason why that we want to use this kind of robots more. Yeah, but it depends on applications, right? Yeah, of course, we're going to have both of them, right? But the virtual, the merit of a virtual reality is easy. It's easy to spread out in the world, because we have the many devices like smartphones and television set, right, and the projectors. But and we can consider, right, there are different applications with this robot. It's tangible, right? And we can it exists in the same world, right? And the robot can have a very strong feeling of presence. So that is the difference from virtual realities.
Okay, another question with that?
Just speak up. Just speak up.
E aí depois o professor fica para conversar com os alunos.
This is well, basically this movement is a kind of a random movement, but sometimes we are carefully studying how for example the eyes are randomly moving, right? And basically our technology is generating this kind of a movement based on the voice. When I'm speaking, right? My lip moving and my head is moving, right? According to the voice. So that is our technologies, right? If we send the voice to the Android system generates the proper lip movement, head movement, and everything is controlled based on the voice, right? And of course, we are mixing up the noise, random movement, and some typical patterns according to the voice. Okay? All right.
Excuse me, Professor. Excuse me. I have a question related to the influence of artificial intelligence in these robots. If you can apply that. And I would like to ask the same question in Japanese, if no trouble.
What? Same question in Japanese. What? Okay.
人工知能のもとも便利な使い方は何ですか?
Artificial intelligence. I think the artificial intelligence is just for the simple, the statistical process. Like it's a kind of a conversion of acoustic signal to the the text, right? Artificial intelligence is not intelligent. We don't know the definition of intelligence yet, right? But artificial intelligence is good for the voice recognition and the pattern recognitions, but they are not real recognitions. It's a conversion from acoustic signal to the symbols. A symbol means text, okay? Right? And the artificial intelligence never have a conceptual the level of a process. Okay, so and of course we are using the artificial intelligence, but it's voice recognition. Next step, yeah. Well, I'm not sure, right? But before applying the artificial intelligence to the next level of intelligence and the robot functions. So we need to study about the function itself. Nobody knows how we can apply the artificial intelligence to develop the more human level the brain functions. Okay.
Hi. I have two questions. The first one is just one. Okay. So my question is, given current limitations with embedded systems mostly in robotics, such as power consumption and processing power, as limiting factors. What is your prediction on the development of these technologies on the future, and how these factors affect the development of robots today?
Say again the point.
How are you seeing that we are developing in regards to factors such as power consumption of energy? How do you think we are trying to get around this problem in robotics?
The problem is the power consumption. What do you mean?
Computer power or power? Yeah, the computers that control the robots.
Enough computer power to control the robots? Is that the question?
Yeah. Well, now we are using the cloud computers for the voice recognitions. The near futures, by improving the computer performance, probably, we can have onboard computers. So without onboard computers, the robot cannot have, the real-time conversations. So that is my guess. Probably we're gonna use both of them, more powerful onboard computers and cloud computers, right? As we are doing with the smartphones, right? Always you are accessing to the smartphones to find some answers, right? So always you are using a Wikipedia or something, right? So, and the robot will do the same things.
Thank you.
In your experience, how important is the ability of learning for a robot for a human to recognize it as a human and not a robot?
Actually, learning functions are quite limited, right? And of course, it's better to have the more the flexible running functions. But how about you? Are you running right now? Right? Well, if we compare the young children and adult, right? So young children run a lot to be adult. But as an adult, are you running something now? Okay. So that is my question. Okay. So we never, our purpose is not to follow the developmental process, but our purpose is to make a copy of, the person, right? So, so always people think about the developmental process, and then, the people ask us that kind of questions. But as an adult, right, we are not running so much, I think.
One thing, it's undeniable that there are great advantages with your research, but one thing that I always question regarding robotics is what are the limits that you're imposing to your research regarding, for example, how robots can substitute human labor, for example? Are there any kind of ethical limits that you're trying to impose in your research?
No limit. Always, we develop the much better technologies and replace the human jobs with the machines. That is our history, okay? And then, humans have a much better life because a robot can support our life, right? You want to work? Maybe you don't like to work, right? If you have a much better robot, you don't need to work, and the robot can work for you, right? I think that is, the good things for us, right?
So you said that the goal of these robots are to have a positive interaction with people. And you also said that you want to put the desire factor in the robot. So can you, I know this is something far away, I don't know how far away it is, but do you think about putting some limit, I would say, to the desire or to control it in some way that this interaction with the humans will be always positive? And I know it sounds a lot like sci-fi, but the robot don't get angry with their user or something like that. So related to the design implementation.
Well, it depends on the users. Someone want to have, how can I say, the negative, the emotions, right? Someone want to feel some negative emotions from the robot, right? Then, that we may have a more tight relationships with the robot, right? Or if a robot has always the positive emotions, we get bored, right? So, But still, robot is a robot. Robot, if we don't like to use a robot, we can turn off the switch, right? But I understand your point, right? And if the robot completely autonomous, and if a robot has some negative emotions, right? So we may have dangerous situations, right, with the robot technologies. But I don't think so, right? If we don't like to use a robot, we can just turn off the switch. Right? But the more important thing is, if we have a very friendly relationship with a robot, right? We hesitate to turn off the switch, but that means we are friendly each other. Okay.
My question is kind of related to the last two ones, but about the total Turing test. Do you have any fears about it, like an ex machina kind of fear?
Ex machina is fair. I like.
What?
Well, why you scare the ex machina?
Okay, so it's
I love it. It's good. Right?
It's a great movie, in which like an android passes a Turing test and manipulates a human to kind of free it. So yeah.
Well, it depends on the relationships, right? So if we could have a good relationships, of course, that we follow the robots, right? So my point is, there is no boundary between human and robots. You understand these ideas, right? Human is already, the kind of a robot because, the fundamental difference between the human and animal is we use the technologies. That is the difference from the monkeys. If we don't use the technology, we're going to be monkeys, right? And we are wearing clothes and putting glass and we're using micro on the computers. I would say that 90% of human activity is supported by technologies. That means that human is a 90% robots. In addition, flesh body is not a requirement to be humans. Even if we use a prosthetic arm and legs, right? The handicapped people, they are not, they are perfect humans, even if they use a prosthetic arm and legs. Flesh body is not a requirement to be humans, okay? Then, where is the boundary between human and robots? Right? We are 90% of robots already, and flesh body is not requirement to be human. Okay? Most important thing is the relationships. Right? If we could have a good relationships with a robot, probably we can accept a robot as a kind of a human.
Next question.
Hi. During your lecture, you mentioned that androids could help us to understand better human behavior. And I understand that androids will be built based on what we know. Since that, how exactly will androids help us understand better human behavior? Like, what new information will they give us?
The question is, how do we understand human behaviors by using a robot?
Yeah.
Well, I recommend you read our technical papers.
Okay.
So, I cannot easily the answer to that questions, right? So we're, running a lot of experiments. Eye movement, head movement, body movement, and some sort of interactive behaviors. We are studying a lot. Right? Please check our webpage and check our papers.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Next question.
Hello.
We are kind of closing the section, so we are taking 2 questions, and we'll stay for a moment for those who want to ask you about your study in your university. So we will end the questions session, and those that want to study at Osaka University can stay for a moment to talk to the professor. I will say this again in Português. A gente vai terminar com mais 2 questões, né, essa sessão de perguntas e respostas, e aqueles que têm interesse em estudar a universidade com o professor, né, podem ficar mais um pouco, a gente vai ficar mais uns 15 minutos, né, 10 minutos falando sobre isso, né, e os demais, claro, né, podem jantar, ir para aula, essas coisas que acontecem na universidade. Ok? Então,
So, Professor, during your speech I was watching your robot and he always looked very serious. And I was wondering, you said about the speech research line in your laboratory. Is there happening any research between the speech and the facial expression of the robots?
Yes, of course, we are studying about it, right? During the speech, we are studying how human control the facial expressions. Okay, I'm not sure this guy was working properly, but we are studying that kind of topics. And
okay, last one by Professor.
First, I'd like to say that Professor Liedi had to go out because she had a meeting at the administration office, so she couldn't stay anymore. So she asked me to apologize for that. But my question is about ethics. Will we need robot ethics in the future, or just safety engineering is enough?
Yeah, I really think we need to have the ethics. Actually, we're going to have a lot of influence by using this kind of robot, right? So far, we are just crazy for developing the technologies. But, that technology was a little bit independent from the humans. But here, what we are doing is, our purpose is to develop the interactive robots, right? So these robots directly interact with the humans. Therefore, I think it's quite important to think about the ethics, right? So, the ethical issue is the most important topics in robotics right now, I think.
Okay, thank you.
He wanna say the last message.
He has a message.
Thank you, Professor. It was great talk. I could enjoy very much. However, I believe I can give much, much better talk than you. So next time, I will give the presentation by myself. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado pela presença e, como eu falei, aqueles que têm interesse em estudar na Universidade de Osaka podem ficar um pouquinho, ou no Japão em geral, para falar a verdade, né? Mas em particular na Universidade de Osaka, e os demais, né, tenham uma boa tarde. Obrigado pela conversa.
See, this is another professor here, also from Chicago Polytechnic. Sir Walter. Well, I have a special group. I have 3 lawyers and a lawyer. And also here, I have 2 more lawyers at 6 years. We are studying especially robotics.
Quem quer conversar com o professor Ishiguro, pode ficar mais para frente, por favor.
Eu posso facilitar, porque senão eles vão ficar de pé. Não, mas ela é muito longe. Pode tirar.
Tem tudo isso para ser arrumado, mas sim tem uma chance.
Recommendation by government. Okay, so if we apply the Japanese embassy, you know, every year I think the Japanese embassy can send the how many? It's okay. How much? It's okay. じゃあ年間国費20 students. 20 students at the Japanese embassies, they can choose the student and send to the Japanese universities. But then that covers the whole areas, right? Engineering and science and some the literature. Therefore, probably just one or two students they can come to my universities, or they can study the robotics. But I have another the slot. Just for my universities, just for the robotics, right? And I have 8 slots, the 5 master course students and 3 the doctor course students. So and for 5 years, okay? And I want to send the information to the Japanese embassies, and Japanese embassies will recruit the additional student for just Osaka universities and to study the robotics, okay? So and maybe I will send them information around September, right? Then you can apply, okay? You can send your information to the Japanese embassies, and Japanese embassies will send the information to me, and I want to choose, okay? So therefore you have much chances to study in Japan, supported by Japanese government, okay? It's a full support. So, and please consider to come to my universities, right? And once you, probably, this kind of interactive robot is not so popular in these countries, right? But if you study this kind of robot technologies, you can bring that technology back to these countries, and you can do something new, right? So we have different situations, right? So, and you can develop some original technologies, by studying in my university. So then I want to accept your questions. Any kind of question is fine. Okay. No undergrad student, right? So if you want to study in undergrad, well, actually, basically, you need to study Japanese first, and then you need to take the entrance exam, or you need to apply the student exchange program. So that is it's maybe just 6 months or up to the 1 year, I think, right? But today I'm talking about the master course and PhD course, right? So because you don't need to speak in Japanese, if you can speak in English, so you can study in the graduate school, right? Any other questions? Yes.
Se quiser falar em português, pode falar também.
I would like to know, what are your specific research topics in robotics? Like, for example, it's robotics design, robotics system processing, and so on.
No, we don't care, because in my department we have many professors in robotics, and we are covering the different topics, right? Mechanical design, computer softwares, and some and the bio-inspired robots, right? So we have many professors, and no, we don't care about your interest if it's in robotics.
Uma pergunta a mais?
you think that in your group you could have somebody studying at the doctoral level parts of the coordination problem?
We have a cognitive scientists, many cognitive scientists, not in my the department, but we are working with the medical schools and the Department of Human Science, right? And we have many collaborators. Usually, my student is, they're working with the professors. Yes, of course, of course. But in this case, I'm recruiting the student studies in my laboratories. But we are collaborating with that kind of professors, right? And we have many researchers studying the cognitive science and psychology. Collaborators? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I wish to know if you have any preference of students. I want to know if you have any preference of students that will go there, like the year they are, like how many years of engineering have they studied, and if you have any engineering area that you prefer there.
Engineering area is robotics. As I said, we have you have two choices, general recommendations by Japanese embassies, right? And it covers the whole areas, but just 20 students, right? But and the additional, I have an additional slot for the 8 students, just for my universities and just for the robotics. Okay.
I think she's asking if you prefer mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, computer science,
sorry.
of
okay.
skills, and do you?
Any kind of skill is fine, if you are good.
And can it be at any year of university? If I'm the first.
Masters and PhD, no undergrad. Não tem graduação, só pós-graduação. Sorry. Another question?
Okay.
In terms of evaluating a candidate to study in Japan, for example, in your laboratory, what's most important? Academic performance or previous work, research done, papers published? What's the most important to you?
The whole package.
Depends. We know how we can evaluate a good student. If you are writing technical papers, that is very powerful, right? And then we want to check the academic scores, right? But if you have a very special skill for the programming, right, that is also the powerful, right? So you know how you can appeal yourself, right?
Thank you.
Another question? No more questions? 1, 2, 2.5. Oh, no. Okay.
So, how do you program your robots? In what language and
Actually, I think he can answer.
So, your question is what kind of program language do we use, right? Many, actually. The most basic one is a C++ for the controlling a robot, but the second one is a Java. The basic control system is written by Java, but Java's and the data communication between Java and C++ is the TCP/IP, right? So and then also, so voice recognition system is using a C, very basic C. But for the analyzing the voice, we're using the Python. So many languages is integrated.
why did you choose Python for
Sorry?
the voice? Why did you choose Python for the voice?
Which one?
why?
Oh, Python.
Yeah.
Oh, Python is, there's many libraries to analyze, some data science or some learning systems like a deep learning thing. So that's a very modern language. So that's we decided to use. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mais alguma questão? Okay, it's your last one.
Okay. So, is there a lot of material online that I can learn about this technology?
Material papers and material online.
Yes, but you need to write. Let me see now. If you don't you can read the technical papers. You can access to our web page. Just now you can see some list of papers there.
In English?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Ok, contagem final, dou-lhe uma, dou-lhe duas, então dou-lhe três. Obrigado, professor. Thank you very much. Another, okay, sorry.
You can easily reach to my web page with my names and robots and androids. You can easily define my web page and the YouTube's, right? And you just remember the Geminoid, Android, and my name is Ishiguro, right? And check our activities. Okay? Thank you.
Gifts, and these are for you.
Thank you very much.
Can you hold it?
Okay.
Okay. And to Professor Ogawa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And for you. The other. Thank you. Ela é a vice-cônsul e está organizando toda essa visita. Muito obrigado.
Então, uma informação. Na verdade, a gente nós vamos fazer uma palestra de estudante no Japão em abril. Em abril, né? Então, por favor, procura essa informação no nosso site. Estuda?
Na Casa de Cultura.
Na Casa de Cultura Japonesa. Por favor, obrigada.
Muito obrigado. O professor Ishiguro vai dar outra palestra amanhã à tarde na Casa de Cultura Japonesa, então, né? Is it going to be the same speech or a different speech you are going to give tomorrow? Yes.
A little bit different. The first part and the half is very similar, but I want to show you the different activities with the robots.
Great.
Right. That is for the ordinary people.
Oh,
I don't
great.
talk about
So it's going to be, more for the ordinary people. So it will be fun, not so serious. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Amanhã é na Japan House, não é aqui eu falei, né? Amanhã à tarde na Japan House. Ok, gente, obrigado, uma boa tarde.